audience members for being present, for sending in all those questions, for being so very interactive on the platform. We're all set to begin with our keynote address on risk and security in the digital transformation drive. May I extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Richard Apostolik, President and Chief Executive Officer, Global Association of Risk Professionals. Welcome, sir.
Hi, my name is Rich Apostolik, and I'm President and CEO of the Global Association of Risk Professionals that most of you may know as GARP. First off, I want to thank the conference organizers for asking me to say a few words today at this conference as it relates to the digital transformation in financial services. And I'll spend about the next 10 minutes or so going through a variety of issues I think that are important as we navigate our way through this transition. So just in speaking in terms of what do we mean by the digital transformation in finance, we ought to probably first just define it. I'm going to define it as a sort of a holistic approach to financial management that relies on the digital landscape and innovative technology. And if you execute that effectively, it can offer very significant benefits, such as improved efficiencies and reduced errors. But why are we even thinking about this digital transformation at this point in time? COVID-19 is one of the reasons. It created unprecedented business and regulatory disruptions in a very, very short time period. And it has forced the world essentially to rethink the use of technology and digitization. There's been massive changes in how financial institutions operate over the last 12 months and what regulators and supervisors expect of these financial institutions. And concerns over cybersecurity have heightened as the pandemic has accelerated digital transformation and advancements in technology. People are now relying on the internet to enable them to work, to access education, health, and financial services, and frankly, simply to interact with each other, resulting in a growing dependency on cyber networks and digital technology, including the internet and cloud-based systems across all aspects of business, government, and life in general. So effectively implementing, managing this digital transformation in finance is imperative. The consequences of a breakdown of critical physical and digital infrastructures is potentially very catastrophic. So what can a shift to a more digitized financial services company really do? It can provide the firm with the opportunity to become a data and analytics leader by using data, analytics, artificial intelligence to deliver exceptional customer experiences, which should essentially be the end objective for most companies. Firms that use big data and analytics usually outperform their peers in productivity and profitability. In speaking briefly about AI, just simply using it is not a goal in and of itself. It's a tool used to support broader company strategies. The Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania in the United States, in a recent study, suggested that a company looking at analyzing existing goals and challenges with the objective of looking for problems with artificial intelligence is uniquely equipped to solve such things such as detecting fraud and assisting in identifying potential solution recommendations to customers. In a somewhat related research by the Digital Banking Report, it found that financial institutions understood the importance of data and advanced analytics. But 75% of those institutions didn't consider themselves very good at utilizing them. But to succeed means using them beyond just risk and security functions, and using them to create efficiencies, new products and services, and enhancing, again, as I said, customer experiences. This also is going to require leadership and vision. So what do I really mean when I talk about enhancing customer experiences in terms of this digital transformation? Again, in another recent study by McKinsey, they found that customers are moving away from traditional physical and digital options, and as a result of the pandemic. One interesting observation that they found is age is no longer a differential as it relates to digital preferences. Essentially what that means is digitization and digital is no longer just for the young. It must be for everyone. Translating that to companies, that means that they will now be required to personalize their customer services and their relationships by digitally recognizing that their customers, for instance, by name, knowing their history and their history with the company, and recommending products that are to them based on that history. So how can this company make this shift? It can do so by instilling a leadership and a culture that promotes innovation. Innovation and digital transformation are linked. And to meet your competition that embraces innovation, you must make innovation and digital transformation part of your company's business model. So what can we do to set a firm apart from what other firms are doing in their use of technology? As I mentioned, leadership and culture, and your company's employees adopting a mindset of consistently thinking about how to change current processes and solutions by using technology is a must. Failing that, your company will quickly start to fall behind its competitors and be at a competitive disadvantage. But you need to keep in mind that innovation is not an end in and of itself. It's a journey. It's going to involve time, and it's going to result in risks that will need to be managed. This shift will also require the firm to leverage modern technologies. You'll need to challenge what the firm is used to doing, allow for reasonable and controlled experimentation, and get comfortable with the idea that experimentation can lead to failure. But to learn from the failures, not to penalize staff because they took a calculated and controlled risk or chance but didn't immediately succeed. Some of the modern technologies I'm speaking about are mobile apps, cloud computing, which has become almost a requirement for most companies, and which provides for generally increased data collection and processing capabilities. Automation and artificial intelligence, or enhanced use of voice technologies, such as Siri, Alexa, and even use of blockchain and 5G, with much faster data transmission capabilities, among other types of technologies. This shift to a more digitized financial services company will also require an upgrade to systems and processes. The publication, as I noted earlier, Digital Banking Report, also recently found that legacy systems are a primary barrier to transformation. Companies may now have to look to outside parties to make a faster transition, but be aware that vendors and vendor systems raise additional risks in terms of transparency, monitoring, and with the vendor's own business models. Ultimately, this will be an incremental transition, and there's a lot to do to integrate cloud computing, mobile technology, advanced analytics, cybersecurity, and other advances. Then you'll need to think about, or rethink, frankly, your back office and other processes concerning digitization and ultimately the customer experience, which I noted earlier should always be a priority. It's going to require a reskilled workforce. Talent management will become a priority for most firms because they do not have internally the skill sets necessary in sufficient numbers to make this transformation. Hard skills and legacy mindsets will need to be updated. And they are going to require a commitment to ongoing continuing education, not only with the individual technologies, but also as it relates to the risks that these technologies may present to the company, its products and services, and to its business model. And leadership must adapt, and the company's culture made a priority. By that I mean senior management and boards must communicate the importance of this transition and be committed to make it happen. A firm's risk appetite will then need to be adjusted to account for the changes, and the company's culture will have to change to be nimbler and more risk-taking in a way that's transparent and accountable. Some other risks that you might want to consider to manage. Increased digitization also brings more interconnectedness to a business. For example, supply chains are now more interconnected than ever before, with increasingly seamless digital commercial ecosystems. This requires that you regularly consider where the weak links may be in your company's supply chain, and internally where, for example, companies and employees will be exposing themselves to significantly increased cyber risks. By allowing for the use of personal devices or working over public Wi-Fi networks, which may have a lower level of security as compared to corporate infrastructures. Information security and cyber risks will also increase with any digital transformation, driven in part by remote working, which is a material challenge to company security teams. The rapid adoption of cloud technology also requires a focus on governance and monitoring, because faulty processes and procedures are a root cause of data compromise events. A typical breach will involve a bad actor finding weaknesses in an institution's IT infrastructure to gain access to confidential information. Controlling the risk of malware, such as phishing or installing faulty software, should be a priority. Using cloud providers has many advantages, but it also limits a financial institution's surveillance capabilities versus using internal systems. But this can be mitigated by increased resilience from the more sophisticated cloud providers' defense systems. The cloud is generally more resilient than in-house systems because you have multiple copies of your overall environment ready for rolling out, for instance, if one is hacked. But third-party suppliers and vendors will also be facing some challenges, with some stress by disrupted cash flows, lower preparedness levels, and the need to meet evolving customer needs, in addition to their own supply chain challenges. The need for increased visibility into a company's third-party vendors, security status, and in some cases, its business model will increase. But increased transparency in the third-party vendors and the vendors' vendors, preparedness will be an ongoing challenge with no easy answers. But it's an area that requires increased focus and analysis. So as I conclude my brief remarks, what I've spoken about over the last few minutes is really just a small example of the issues that will need the attention as the digital transformation of financial services takes place and increases in pace. Other areas such as financial crime and anti-money laundering, and how the digital transformation may disrupt the traditional role of finance in an organization through further automation of tasks and providing an elevated quality of service and more relevant financial reporting to a company, or other areas of focus that could provide advantages and where we could spend a great deal of time discussing. And think of innovation and transformation not only as enhanced use of technology, but also about how it can be used in innovating your company's business model and its business. And in that light, how you may want to redefine expectations within your organization of what is possible. So as I wrap up, this is a truly interesting time in which to live. The pace of digital change is accelerating. Our firm needs to institutionalize the idea of momentum, because momentum generates more momentum in a world that's changing so fast. In my view, this digital transformation will ultimately disrupt the global financial services industry to the point that we won't recognize today's products and services in just a few years' time. And the risks those changes present won't diminish. They'll simply change and migrate to other areas and emerge as different risks. We'll need to be prepared to recognize and address them. So I want to thank you for allowing me to address this conference. I feel strongly, as the conference theme states, digital transformation will unleash unparalleled performance, and we're only at the beginning of this journey. I wish you all the very best and that you stay well and safe. And I look forward to visiting India again soon, hopefully maybe by year end or early next year as the pandemic ends and travel is allowed. Again, thank you very much for allowing me this time to present a few words to you. Thank you.